And
So, hello and welcome. I'm still laughing from the conversation that was going on just before I pressed the start button here. Anyway, this is one of my 60 conversations, and today I am with the beautiful Farah. And I don't know Farah very well, but we've had an amazing conversation for the few minutes that we've been talking before we press go. So I am super excited to dive in and see what inspiration comes out of this conversation. We did actually meet in person at the Birmingham event, the ultimate coach at the Birmingham event. We did actually meet in passing, and then I reached out to you afterwards to ask for this conversation. So could you tell us a little bit about you, and let's see where we go.
firstly, I want to say I love this idea of 60 conversations, inspiring conversations. You've inspired me to plan for my 60th. So
Yes.
thank you.
Oh, it's great. I can highly recommend it. I've spoken to some amazing people. So if anyone's watching this and this is the first one, trust me, go and have a look on my YouTube channel. I have spoken to some amazing, well, all of them have been amazing. So
Yeah. And I find that talking to anyone, if you're just curious and there's something that you will get from any conversation. So I'm excited what I will get from this from you as well. So I didn't catch your question. So
just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
who I am. Okay.
Mm.
So it's very interesting when we talk about who I am. A long time ago, I would talk about clearly what I do. And I think what has shifted for me is how I'm stepping into creating myself powerfully. So I want to say that I'd like to introduce myself with sharing who I create myself to be. I am courage. I choose to be me, and that's where my power lies. I am that I speak my authentic truth by sharing what's in my heart. I am alive and vibrant. I am fulfilled as I am and fully anchored in who I am. I am peace and I'm free. I'm fully at peace with my past and my future. I see the divine in everyone and everything. I believe nothing is wasted, everything belongs. I am unhurried and I renew myself daily, powerfully, without fail. I'm present here and now with you, and wherever I am, I'm living every moment doing what I love. I am living a life of no regrets. I am love. My heart is wide open for myself and others. I am that I radiate positive energy that is filled with pure love. I am perfect in my imperfections. I am playful, joyful, and adventurous. Every day I discover a new region within my soul. I am forgiveness. I take nothing as personal and everything as learning. Nobody is deserving of my judgment, including, especially me, and everybody is worthy of my love and respect. I am a powerful courage coach, and I wake you up to your limitless potential. I am that I make no distinction between my personal and my professional life. I am service at the highest level. I am the light that brings energy to others. I am that the people I support experience and create miracles. I am the richest person on the planet. I'm grateful for the abundance, unconditional love, and support that surrounds me. I'm the world's most loving and caring mom to Sama. Sama is my beautiful 24-year-old. I love and appreciate everything about Sama, especially when she's pure generosity and in reflection of her light and her darkness. I am a supportive and emotionally present mom. I am a role model for parenting. I am that my word is sacred. I am unstoppable in my dedication to fitness. I am that I honor my energy. I am boringly consistent. I embody hope, patience, and resilience. I am one of the luckiest persons I know. This is who I am, and this is who I create myself to be. And my precious parents named me Farah. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. That was truly beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I mean, we could end the conversation there. There's a ton of beautiful inspiration.
Yeah.
It is so powerful when we create ourselves in that way. And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing. It was gorgeous.
Thank you. And I think it's the first time I've actually shared my document in an interview or in a conversation like this, because I would really think about sharing what I do. And I think it was a conversation in 2022 when my world shifted, my orbit changed, when I was in this beautiful event, when I think a common friend of ours, Alok Apudurai, came in and he was speaking about something. But he created himself so powerfully in the first few minutes that I was struck by that. And that was the first thought and intuition that I felt of connecting with him, because I felt so deeply touched by that. And there was this, I think, this desire in me to step away from what I do and to really bring to the world who I am. And that's when my quest of getting to explore this, explore being, and of course, work with my coach to create my document. And that's how I am stepping into that space. So thank you for giving me an opportunity for sharing who I truly am. Yeah.
It is so much more powerful, isn't it, when we share in that way? It really is. Leah, like, oh, who am I? Yeah, it's actually I've been listening to a bit of the book and the Ultimate Coach book, and I listened to a bit where Steve took a group of them to a Byron Katie workshop, and they were sat around a table and they were sharing. I think it was John Patrick Morgan suggested they were a group of Steve's clients who didn't know each other, and they were all sharing. They'd all come together, and John Patrick Morgan suggested that when they were introducing themselves, that they each shared their document as who they were. And somebody overheard the conversation and came over and was like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on here?" Because as you can imagine, the sharing that you have just done. And so I've been listening to that recently, and definitely it's been occurring to me when people ask that question, "Who are you?" to actually sort of say, do you want the true answer to that? And then, exactly. And what you just gave was a really beautiful, true answer to not the normal, boring, what I do or anything. And obviously that came into that, but actually really creating something powerful. And I just think we don't do that enough for ourselves and for other people. Create powerfully in that way.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know what it is, but it was, there was this desire inside of me to, open my heart to who I truly am. And I think then when I was ready, I was open. And, when you create yourself from that space, then it's not labor. It's really stepping into that version of yourself that you really want to see emerge. And I remember telling myself before, since we were both at the Birmingham event, I remember telling my coach that I would like to create myself before, and create my document before I go to the event. And I had told myself that, at Birmingham, I'm going to find as many opportunities to speak my document and to share it. And I remember that I got an opportunity to do that once. And even that once was amazing, because I just felt that I am now getting my document in me, and there are so many ways to create that more powerfully. So I wanted to say that, yeah, I'm so happy I got it off here, and
No,
excited to actually explore the rest of our conversation and see what emerges.
I think, yeah, what I can see is that whole self-creation. It's really hitting me every day more and more and more that we are a collection of thoughts that we continue to think and creating ourselves in that way. So, steering our thoughts about ourselves in such a positive way is so beautiful, isn't it? It's so good. It's such fun.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely.
So I actually read, I said to you, I read you produced a PDF after the Birmingham event. You produced a beautiful PDF, and I got that. And the other day I thought, okay, I'm going to read this before we come on our call. I thought I'd like to know a little bit about who you are. So I thought I will read this. And it was really, it was amazing to read those little, you'd done a little snapshot of each of the speakers. And I had chosen, when I was at the Birmingham event, to just be in the room and be present to what it was. And I'd actually not forgotten, as in, I mean, the impact was huge, but I couldn't really have told you who was speaking. So it was so lovely to be brought back to those memories of each one of the speakers when I read them, and just kind of a little tiny snapshot of what had hit you in what they had shared. So I would love to ask you, you are on a stage, as we are here, there is some kind of stage here, but if you were on a stage like one of those speakers, what would you really love to share? Share with me something from you.
I think I would love to share the power of vulnerability, and that it's a superpower. And so when I was sitting in that event, firstly, I want to say that one thing that I have stepped into is that if I love something, I want to give it away. And so I think this is something that I got immediately when I joined Ankush's school. And right from the start, I would share everything that I was learning. And I got inspired to create a newsletter as well. And it was called the Courage Catalyst. One of my themes is talking about courage and how can we be a courage catalyst for ourselves and others. And so what you got from me was a creation of some of my biggest insights. And as I was creating that, so when I'm actually in a room, I also do a lot of visual noting. So I have that. I love being creative like that. So I did have my visual notes to think about what the speaker really left inside my heart. So that's what I created. And as I did that, there was this other level of how can I um, astound the reader, someone who couldn't be there, who could actually have a way to explore that. And so I was able to think of what else can I add here? How can I make it more meaningful and not just a document where you're reading some of my insights? So I added the links of the master classes, etc. So I'm so glad you found value. And as I was sitting in that weekend, I was thinking of exactly the question you shared. Like, what would I actually share if I was on the stage? And I had a flashback of the way I've created myself. And this was even before I got to know about the Being movement. And so for me, it's been this journey of taking off all these superwoman abilities that I created myself when I was going through some huge life-changing experiences. And then I had really put on all these armors, and I became this superwoman to deal with the world. And I started to own it, and it became such a big part of me. And I think it was, you usually have someone who comes into your life, or you read something, or an inspiration as you're looking at in this. And so there is something that points you to a direction and takes you through the messy middle, right? And you were avoiding that. So for me, I've had a lot of that. And for me, that one person who actually shifted everything for me is, I don't know if you know Dr. Brené Brown. It was a book of hers and a program called Dare to Lead that I was living into for a year, along with a colleague and a very dear friend from Hong Kong. And so we did a lot of inner work, and I think that's when I was able to tap into my being vulnerable, finding that it's a strength, and noticing that that's where I am at my best. And so everything that emerged from there, whatever I created, my personal life, my professional life, came from that journey of, removing all these armors and really stepping into this space of just being me. And it's like Sanika said, be you. And I sat there and I could just see every part of me living with this sense of freedom. And and I think I would love to share that journey of how I went from someone who started her life from scratch, left a very unfulfilled marriage, became a single mom, started everything from scratch, and then returned back to creating everything in all those relationships in a way that is only, I would say, the most beautiful thing that's possible. So if anybody sees and experiences my parenting style, or even in my relationship with my ex-husband, or how I show up in every relationship or in every conversation, they would see that there is that beautiful journey, right? And so I would love to share that. It's how I, let go of that and embraced the parts of me which are very courageous and audacious. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And yeah, our vulnerability, I think we certainly, it feels to me like in the history of our society, there was definitely that period where it was like, yeah, just put on the armor, show up as strong and put together, and as if the kind of the Margaret Thatcher era, if you like, and it was very much, just be a very, very, very strong, put together person. Do not, don't show any vulnerability. Don't get upset about anything. Don't all of that kind of thing. And definitely it feels like that we have passed through that, and now it is absolutely come to know feminine energy, this whole allowing our emotions, because, and it's not about always being in tears or any of that sort of thing, but I think what we resist persists. So when we just put on armor and hide something and pretend that we are not feeling it and pretend that it is not happening, it's like that whack-a-mole game. You're popping it down here and it's going to come up here somewhere. And yet but for me, I have really seen a huge difference in genuinely seeing something in myself and letting go of it, rather than hiding it behind armor or pretending I don't feel like that way, or pretending. There is a subtle but massive difference to seeing it, accepting it, and choosing something else, rather than pushing it down and putting on armor and pretending. And that to me sums up vulnerability. It is,
that's the easy option, to opt to numb it. And I was very good at that. And I realized that I was just not feeling any of my emotions. I was just allowing myself to, just move over them. And you don't do that. And so now this version of me is really deeply feeling everything. And that is a very different version of who I want to be. And so I wanted to say that it's exciting because even that at that time it served me, and when I think about all the times when it served me, and I would look back and just learn from that, and appreciate that part of me that I was so innocent that I believed that I needed to not share anything. And I have to say that the society that I was part of, while there was some implicit stuff like that, I think it was all self-created. I know that. I had a family who was so supportive. I have a family who is the most supportive family that I have. And yet I would, have like this big arms distance, like I'm going to do this alone. This is my journey. And I think it was, in my case, it was self-created. And especially with bringing up, our childhood was in a way where we could be ourselves. So we didn't have any other, we could be who we are, we could dream big, etc. And then I chose to play small in so many ways. So I think for me, what inspires me today is um, stepping into this world of um, partnering with change makers, partnering with entrepreneurs or leaders who are playing small, and really play bigger. And for me, playing bigger is being more loyal to your dreams than your fears. And that's what I am creating for myself. And so, yeah, it's like the portal to freedom, right? When you actually have that sense of who you are and how you can create. So yeah, it's an exciting time.
I love the no regrets. I think that is really, really important. It's like, again, it's one of those things, if we hold on to those things, if we hold on to blame or regret or any of those, whether it is self-blame or blaming someone else, our stories, did somebody do this to us? Did we do it to ourselves? Whichever it is, if we hold on to the regrets and the blame about that, we're holding ourselves we can't move forward. We can't. It's like carrying a huge boulder on your back and then trying to play big. It's like, it's too difficult because there's too much weight there. So I adore that I'm in your
Living
statement,
a life.
living a
Yeah.
life of no regrets. That is huge.
You reminded me of a visual because I'm very visual. You reminded me of, like, we walk around with this backpack with all these heavy things. And I think unless we let it down sometime, and I remember I was in a retreat in Morocco 2 years ago, an amazing group. And we were looking at how do we want to create our business. And we were writing some very powerful letters to our future business. Okay. And one of the things that I remember this very clearly was this invitation to look at what's we're carrying with us and to decide to leave it there in Morocco. They just drop it. It's like all these things, like choose how do you want to create your future? Like we say, what would you like to create? And um, I think while for some people it's hard to to shift and look at what do I want to create and let go of all that, the things that really like imprison you, right? It's usually what's in your mind that imprisons you. And so I think for me, what has really been a strength is that through all my tough situations, through all my um, roller coasters, I have had this ability to look ahead, and it was this direction. It was never here. And so that has always helped me to create however I want to create, but create looking forward. So I feel that, yeah, for me, it was easier to, at one point, to say, okay, let go of this thought, or let me let go of this feeling, or this bias, etc. So that became a lot more easier for me. And I think for me that I think that's the way that I probably step into more empowering spaces or exciting playgrounds where I can create from that space, being more creative, being more enthused about what I'm going to create than staying in this space. So I feel that perspective is really, really how I shifted, is what served me through all that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great question, isn't it? Because that with forgiveness, I know very often, whatever it is, whether it is ourselves that we have to forgive or whether it is someone else, it feels like this idea that if I let that go, somehow it will come back to haunt me, or I feel like not forgiving is like keeping a vigilance of something just in case it happens again, or this kind of
Mm.
thing. And yet what I'm hearing you saying is that just moving forward with that vision, when we create something different, there's no room for this stuff to come back in. When we create
Yeah.
ourselves powerfully as something new
Yeah.
to move forward, there isn't the
Yeah.
space for that. And I loved,
Yeah.
I can't remember your words, but what was it about paying more attention, like the playing big, paying more attention to our dreams than our
That
fears.
is That is a powerful quote by Tara Moore, and I would recommend that book. It's called Playing Big. I was
Okay.
part of her facilitator program, and I use her Playing Big model in my current coaching cohorts. And she says playing big is being more loyal to your dreams than your fears. And it's really, it resonates with me because that's how I live. That's the space I come from. And fear is, we're going to have the fears. And
Yeah.
she talks about really some two very different types of fear. One fear that keeps us stuck, and another fear, which is that fear of me stepping into a bigger space, and that is exciting, but it's, and that fear is, that feeling is also very exciting. So it's not something which will hold me back. So I would say that don't fear the fear, that's what I would say, because the fear can fuel you. Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see the many, many years where I definitely was paying more attention to my fear than my dreams, and certainly allowing and trying to create dreams whilst you are holding on to a lot of fear is quite difficult.
And I must confess that I am here in this place because, hold on, fasten your seatbelt. For 13 years, I stayed stuck. I want to tell you this. So for 13 years, I decided to believe that I was powerless. And it was only in 2006 when I chose to, step into creating the kind of life I want to create. And so I've seen that being stuck, being in that fearful state, and not taking that next step, or not looking ahead, not able to see anything in the future, just staying in that. God, I did that for so long, and I wouldn't go back to that. And I don't think that version of me would ever exist in any situation. So I think we've all been through all this, and we step into it differently. And for me, it's been this huge journey of self-development. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I love about these conversations, because it is a little bit like when you think of a Disney film and how they're made, and the the structure of it, what happens. And I think we all have our hero's journey, don't we? We all have that. And so, like, hearing our own stories in other people's things, our story might not be the exact same story, but it's really good, talking to people like you saying, my childhood was actually good and I put these things in place. And I can say the same, if I'm honest. One of the things that really horrified me was, so I ended up in an abusive relationship for over 20 years. I was very stuck in that. And yet, when I look back, most of the people, when I came out of that, and I was being helped with all sorts of things, most people's stories were that they had that it was generational and abuse. They had been abused as a child and then got into this situation, and it was like, oh. And I know I was very, very hard on myself, because I was like, well, I didn't have that in my childhood. What's wrong with me? I must really. So it's actually quite refreshing having this conversation with you and kind of hearing, because so many times people kind of say, yeah, this came from my childhood, and then I had, and you can kind of almost go, well, yeah, I can understand that, and then I'm going, oh my God. But it's so interesting to see how we create ourselves, and whatever our story is, and wherever we believe this came from, and whatever our creation is, that beautiful example of you sharing who you are at the beginning of this, we can do that no matter what our story. In any moment, we can recreate this and live from that place of no regrets that you took. It's like, I'm going to let go of whoever was seemingly to blame.
Yeah, and you're right. Actually, it's a beautiful way to look at life, and I think I'm, I think, I think what has served me throughout this beautiful life we've had, because all of us have had so many ups and downs, right? And when I look back, it's just how I see it. It's so easy for me to see it in a way that, oh, that was tough or that was difficult. And I think what has shifted for me is I'm not looking at um, creating it as difficult or easy. This is what it was, and uh, even now, I keep saying I'm the luckiest person I know, and I mean that because I'm blessed with that incredible family who just knows how to lift you up and respect your choices or who you are, and actually love um, where you're heading. And one thing that I think I shifted with my family was I used to keep everything I did as a best kept secret. So I would just reveal parts of what I'm doing. So they would catch me busy or traveling, and they would probably make some assumptions, etc., or find that I don't have time or I'm not available. And started judging myself and judging others, right? And I think when I really enrolled my family into my life of what I'm creating, it all changed. So I find that one thing I would say is um, when I took a stand for what I'm doing and why I love what I do, and I am able to share that. And I enroll my mother, who's 87, and my mother is amazing. She'll tell me, "How was your call?" Or she will ask me. She doesn't expect anything like, "I want more time for you," or "Why haven't you come to see me?" She's like following my Insta story, and she said, "I saw that." Um, I'm into a fitness thing. I'm doing 75 hard, and she's very inspired by all that. So what I'm trying to say is that I think it's also important to enroll people you love into what you're creating and who you are, because if I don't do that, I won't enjoy that. So I think for me, I'm in this beautiful place of remembering my childhood, which was tough, but full of love and full of hope, and that we could shoot arrows from our heart to achieve anything and dream of flying across the world, which we all did. And even till today, that's what we have. So I find that while we're creating so much in our business and in our lives, I think, having this as a foundation, creating that with our relationships, um, is really amazing. So I am love. I am loving, and I'm stepping into that. And so for me now, the declarations I have, they just become so much more powerful, because this is my reality. This is what more I can create with everything that I do. So thanks for helping me to connect that. I feel that I'm really blessed because I can see it clearly. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely. I think those connections in what we create, and I love that whole I am the luckiest person that I know, and it's great. I mean, and we can all in whatever way we want to, we can create ourselves as that. No matter
Yeah.
what our story is, it's like, yeah, we can create that. We are so blessed when we look at what we have, and whatever that happens to be. We live in such a time, there is so much available, that it is so much is possible for us. Like when you begin to look in this direction, however long you have been looking in this direction, when you begin to see it, when we begin to see we are the ones we live in possibility soup, and then we create limitations. And it's like, we can turn that around in any moment and step into that. You know, how, if you invited someone, and I do, you know, if you're watching this, I'm going to invite you to start a sentence: I am the luckiest person I know. And then complete that sentence. For you, what is that and why is that? Because I don't think anyone, if we look, that's what we will find in our own lives, in whatever way that is. And it's so easy sometimes, like that, again, going back to that living with no regrets, it can be so easy sometimes to tell the story of poor me, and wasn't that a shame, and because of this. And yet looking for what we look for, we get more of through the creation. Yeah. The whole idea of those declarations is, this is what I am looking towards, this is what I'm creating, this is who I am. And then when we tell the stories of woe in whatever way, and it's not, there's no part of this that is putting down, you know, both of us have shared some things in our lives that could have been, that were really some tough moments. You know, definitely there have been some tough moments in my life, tough more than moments. And I, you know, from this conversation, I can, in just little snippets that you said, I'm guessing there's been the same. There's, you know, you don't remake your whole life. You don't go through a divorce. You don't do that's not, oh yeah, that's like, I went to hospital and that, or I went and had a baby. It's like, there's so much more to it.
So, you know, actually, you're reminding me of, I mean, we have such full lives that we are leading. And as you said, it's very important to look at what story we're living in, right? And
Yeah.
I find that when I ask myself that, what story am I living in now? Even this is a story I'm sharing, but it's a story, it's how I'm creating myself. You know, I can judge myself more powerfully, or I can judge myself harshly, or my situation. So I find that I can change the story. I can change it. And that's the exciting part. And as you said, possibilities, oh my God, are endless. And that's what I believe, that, you know, you are 60 years young, and I'm getting there very soon. And I think about a lot of people that I speak to who think that I have very little time. And I am like this 21-year-old thinking, wow, what else can I do? I mean, I'm just loving every single day. And I think I think it's beautiful to be able to create the story that you want to live in. And that's what I want to see. That's and notice what are, you know, what are we playing on repeat, and changing that. So I love this conversation, because it allows me to also live in, as you said, the possibility soup, and in creation, and just waking up to our power.
Yeah.
Our femininity as well, as you said.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Waking up to our power is so, you know, whoever is watching this, and like you say, you know, there are so many stories about age and how possibilities start to decline. And like you, I'm like, oh no, bring it on. Me and my partner are building a house. We're building a home for us to live in, and it's like, and we're doing it ourselves, as much of it as we can. And that is like, I'm so excited by that. And I feel like a 21-year-old who's just building their
Yeah,
first home. It's so exciting.
I
And
love that.
yeah,
I can sense that. I can feel that energy right across the Zoom room. Thank you. Thank
oh,
you for sharing that.
mm, it
And
just,
we must tell the viewers that we both share the same birthday month. So if you're
yes.
noticing, both of us are living, you know, have this kind of, you know, mindset. I think it also comes from there. Both Sagittarians.
Yes, we are both Sagittarius, fire signs. Yes, absolutely. Burn it all down and start again. Do it again and do it again. But the possibility, you know, whatever, whoever you are and whatever you are, the possibility And whatever your circumstances, that's what I just keep seeing again and again and again through all sorts of stories, you know, at the Birmingham event, at many, many events. You know, I've heard many inspirational, beautiful speakers across, you know, many events and things, and all of it, that the message is of possibility. It's like, yeah, this thing happened, or it was like this, or I saw it this way, however you like to see it. And then what became possible when I looked in a different direction. And that's what really excites me. I kind of think, you know, because when I was a small child, the idea, you know, I thought, oh yeah, by the time I'm 60, I'm going to be dead. You know, that was so far away and so boring. And yet now here I am, and it's like, no, this is a door opening to another possibility. There is so much more yet to come. Yeah. And so it's so good to live into that, and to see, you know, that I feel so blessed about the times that we live in, how easily this is available to us, that we can look in this direction, and there is so much available to us to find out about who we are. And yeah, I mean, my business is called Dare to Be You, so it is absolutely it is
that's the name of my first book I wrote, Dare to Be You. Being unstoppable. Yeah.
I've got a book called Dare to Be You too. So there we go. We have more in common. Yeah. It stepping into kind of the both, being daring to be you and then creating yourself. Because I can see, I mean, I got into so much trouble because I was too scared to be myself. I thought there was fundamentally something wrong with who I was, and that wasn't good enough. So I had to try and be something and someone else. And what I've really seen, and a complete turnaround is in the creation of myself, is like when I was scared, when I was creating from fear and a feeling that I wasn't good enough, I'm trying to create something good enough. I'm not, and yet coming to this space now of actually looking inside myself of who is it you would love to be, from the allness of everything, from the starting point of whole and complete. What do you want to
do? Yeah. I like that. What do you want to do? That's lovely.
Yeah. And I know, like, even with the house, I can really see for the longest time I fought against that. I was kind of like, well, you're not someone that can build a house. You're not someone who can buy a plot of land and build a house. Don't be ridiculous. And so for years, I ignored that. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, dare to be you. You want to buy land and build a house. Buy land and build a house.
Yeah.
Step into being.
When are you stepping into your new home?
Well, we've... the land actually became ours on the 1st of December, just gone. So it was like my birthday
present. Yeah.
So we are in the process at the moment. We're going to live on the land in a static caravan. So we're in the process at the moment. There is no, or there were no, there were no utilities on the land. So we have water now, but we need electricity, and we need a septic tank before we can move in, and then we're going to build.
I wish you all the best. I'm sure that's going to be the kind of home you want to create. Amazing.
It is. Yeah. It's going to be beautiful. So tell me about when you talked about working with people who were playing small. What do you see in them, and what possibility do you open for people when people are playing small? What are the signs that you know that that's what's going on for them, and how do you get them playing bigger?
So I think the core of my work is to help people reimagine their business and their lives. And one of the things that comes in our way is our thinking. And what is the core work is to shift your relationship with your critic, and to really tap into your inner mentor. So I find that when you're able to really catch yourself and really see who this voice is and what this voice is about, which is really driving your life consciously or subconsciously. That is one way in which you can really step into truly actually listening deep down what you truly want. So I find that something that comes in people's way is inaction and also their critic. So those are two big things that we first get out of the way. And to really acknowledge that it's going to be there till we die, and to find a way in which we can create a way to really listen to our inner mentor. So I find that that core work is very powerful. Yeah, it starts with that.
I love that. Yeah, to
Yeah,
me, if we don't do the inner work, what happens on the outside is
it starts
always
with us.
good. Yeah.
It only starts with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have to go in, we have to go inside, I think, to create something, whatever it is, something that is beautiful and amazing and inspiring to us. To create that on the outside, it always starts on the inside. And yet I think for so long we have been told, and it appears that it's out here, and that it's a creation out here, and a creation out here will give us our peace of mind. And yet what I see is, no, if we find that peace of mind first, then what we create from that is so beautiful.
I think when you asked that question, the thought that came was, how do we make our brain a great place to live? So you are heading off to your home, you're creating a nice home. It's like, how do you create your brain a really great place to live? And that is really the core of the work. And from there, you create what you want in your life and business, right? So I think that is really where I help people wake up to their potential. Yeah, through that.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to change the outside to make our inner world a more comfortable place, and yet it's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
We have to do it the other way around. And we have this idea, I know lots of people, we have this idea that if we are going to feel good, that we won't do anything. This is like, well, if I just feel good, then I'm not going to create anything. But we are born creators, and from a good feeling, what we create, when we are not creating from fear, when we are creating from love, we create some amazing things. What we create is beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think just hearing that is inspiring. Like, you've just left a huge, like, this gold of talking about how you create from love, and what's the difference when you create from fear. So I can easily look back at all the times when I was, just stepping into things with that hesitation and self-doubt, and not being able to really see the possibilities. And yeah, I think what you're saying is where we can start putting our energy, is how do we surround ourselves with ways in which we can create from this loving space.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Loved it.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
I have really, really enjoyed our conversation. It has been amazing. So have you got anything else that you would like to share before we wrap this up?
I would love to wish you a beautiful, inspirational, magical year. And whatever you've created, I know the seeds are going to be planted for so many other people just by listening into these conversations. So I want to say I'm so grateful you invited me. I've enjoyed getting to know you as well before and during this conversation. And I think there's a lot more we can connect on. So I would just say thank you. I loved it. I loved it. Yeah.
And if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach out and get in touch with you if people would like to do that?
Yeah. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so they can connect with me. They can find me, Farah Ismail. So that's where I am.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank
so,
you.
so
Or
much.
they can fly to India and meet me, of course.
Oh, cool. Oh, I would love to do that.
Yeah, the invitation is open. It's a fascinating country, so come and experience incredible India.
Ah, I've never been to India. I would love to do that. That would be amazing. So if anyone's interested in going, come on, reach out. Let's go.
Yeah.
And how many bedrooms have you got? How many of us can come?
I'm thinking of creating a very powerful space like a experience in India. So we can choose any location. That's a thought I've had. So I might create that from this conversation. You've
Sounds
actually planted a seed. Yeah.
sounds absolutely perfect to me. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
Gorgeous
so much, Deborah.
conversation. Thank you.
Lots of love. Bye.